Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, with our main topic today. Well, Egypt, for almost 10 years, have made a significant leap in a number of fast expanding startups, and an amazing set of supporting institutions and communities. In the year 2018, Egypt was ranked the fastest growing startup ecosystem in the Middle East and North Africa, and the second largest after the United Arab Emirates. During these years, Egypt's flourishing entrepreneurship scene has been receiving support from governmental entities and private institutions, which aid entrepreneurs to reach their maximum potential by offering fund opportunities and also mentorship. Well, to shed more light on this, we have the pleasure to host today Dr. Yasser Kamal, Information and Communication Technology expert. Welcome, Dr. Kamal.
Thank you.
Well, Dr. Kamal, Egypt notched up to the third place in the Economist's list for the most accelerated economic growth globally in the first quarter of the year 2019. So how do you analyze the elements of this success?
I think it's only a startup for now. I mean, if it's booming, but still we are in the first steps for more development. It could be a good sign for the coming future or close future, but it is an initiative now, and I think it will be combined with the more effort that will be done in regulations and investment facilities and so on. It will be an integrated platform for more development. So technically, the signs and indicators are very sufficient for such initiation, and that will give us a good flag for the coming days what should be done, because we need to improve not only regulations, but we need also to develop more in the competencies and skills of people working and activating in such arena, yes, and to have more proper development in such area, because we still have competition from other countries, yeah, and we still not considered a proper emerging market yet, but we need to define to position Egypt as a leading country in that area. So I think this is a good startup actually. It's a promising startup, and it will be a very nice kick-off of, let's say, future development in technological arena, let's say.
Yes. Dr. Kamal, how did the private and the governmental institutions provide help to the startups?
It's different perspectives, starting from facilitating more or easing the investment authority regulations and so on, including company formation, easing from the financial sector the applicability of funds, loans and so on for small and medium enterprises, and then the government entities providing let's say very specific and professional training and sponsored training funded and so on for lots of people, regardless they are working inside corporates or not. And then of course we're having the potential mobilization of the market need. So market need also is having very big shortage, by the way, in, let's say, IT solutions, communication solutions and so on, which is under development now. So I think it's the entire capacity and demand balance issue between, we have a very high capacity, but even so the market demand is very high, rather domestically or internationally. So I think also it came to the same scenario. Everything should be harmonized together between internal, external, key stakeholders inside that system, regardless from government, non-government organization, education facilities, financial institutions and so on. So it's a chain reaction. Once all of that is developed, you will have a complete locomotive that will be a key driver in the economy as hoped.
So, Dr. Kamal, technology has a big role in supporting startups. How do you evaluate this?
Technically, it's very simple. We will find ourselves worldwide. Any company now is relying on IT or technological solutions, regardless of the activity. So technically, it is a baseline. And we need to associate that with moving the technology from being a shared service, I mean, something that serves others, into what we call a business enabler. That's something to mobilize the business side. We have a very simple example. We are used to have, let's say, ticketing system for air carriers or passenger flights using manual input. But once it is moved to technological aspects, the capacity and the competency of airliner increase dramatically because of that enabler. So we need to understand that the key is how to make it an enabler engine in the economy. And actually it will take time, but still I think the market will be the main driver in this. And by expansion, the local market acquire lots of the currently developed, let's say, solutions which is available currently for now, as we all hope.
Yes. So, Dr. Kamal, so technology would not, make the workers, most of the factories or investments may use the machines and the technology and not pave way for job opportunities.
We need to go back to Renaissance European Revolution. Yes. Once people start moving against sewing machines.
Yes.
So it's the same issue. They thought that by having sewing machines, it will terminate the tailors and so on, yes. which was not, because it expanded the arena of how to produce more and how to have different products, how to have different business and so on. So if you need a sewing machine, that means will need a factory for the sewing machine that will need more production for the requirements of tailoring and so on. So we need to understand business was never to be a solo direction to promote labor force. It is a misleading perspective because economy and business and nations cannot be developed only by having opportunities, because it will be the cost of investment. Any investment will look the cost of investment. If I find that I will acquire more labor force versus technology, the first thing I will check is the cost.
Yes.
Setup cost and operation cost. Nobody will check, even government will take the labor force as a mandate unless they are competent enough to work for that. And that's why we are keen to focus on the point of having the people competent. This is the key issue, regardless of where they work. Having them confident and accountable for their work, for their rules, for their skills and so on. This is the key issue. It is not only the automation. Yes. Automation is one part, because we are, in any business we are having three items. It's people, processes, and technology.
Yes.
Technology is only 10% of the system. 80% relying on people, motivation, drivers, skills, and competency, and 10% of the processes. Our key problem in Egypt is not technology, it's the processes. We are lacking the belief in systems. We are lacking the belief of having a homogeneous processes in place, because everybody think if I have a system in place, that means somebody will control me somehow. Yeah. So there is lots of cultural change we'll need, and I think with the let's say voting change in the market will lead to this as a fact. Yeah. We don't need to educate it because it will be a fact in the coming future, as I hope.
Dr. Kamal, what's your opinion in the youth conferences and the outcome and recommendations by the youth conferences held in Egypt in helping the youth and the startups fulfill their dreams?
We need to see it from two different perspectives, regardless a person. I mean, two opposing directives. Yes. Some people don't like it, some people like it. Both are right and both are wrong, because nothing is obsolete in our in life. Yes. But the key factor is those youth conferences are helping, regardless of the economic value coming out of lots of many directions. Number one, it's an open channel discussion which is very accountable to discuss whatever points needed. Number two, it could be a good indicator for external investor to understand the culture. And by the way, lots of organizations, lots of nations, or let's say business in other nations, are using monitoring those such public conferences to understand the culture and so on. Yes. So, and of course, it's a very good public relation issue. In addition to that, you are hearing from, let's say, the key persons in the nation, and they are liable for what they are saying. So there is a value, regardless of the economic impact, which is technically, in my opinion, more valuable than to have a direct investment, because that could be a steady opportunity for the coming future, especially with the crowdness and the turbulences in the region. So we understand the difference between you are spending money or investing in having youth conference versus you are trying to gain money to save your own country in other surrounding nations, as we see. Yes. So I think this is a very good sign, actually, and it could be a flagship presenting that we have hope, we believe in that hope, and we are working in it. And having youth and with the open discussion inside, I think it gives a very good mobilizer for the community, even if it's by 10%, but still it's a startup. It will drive year after year. There is no nation that could be developed in 5 or 10 years. It's always mentioned by tens of years of development, but it need to have a very elementary and mandatory proper startup.
Yes.
And I think this is the key issue now. Now, for the first time in Egyptian history, we are focused about infrastructure projects, infrastructure, utilities, infrastructure and communication, not going to just to give what we call it tranquilizer injection to people, like through facilitating some food, some so on. Now we are focusing on the real business, the real community development, let's say, which is the infrastructure itself, which is the more important. Part of that infrastructure is youth, because those will be the leaders in the coming 20, 30 years,
yes,
as we hope.
Yes. Dr. Kamal, Egypt has invested $200 million in entrepreneurship in the year 2018. So what is the reflection of that on the image of the Egyptian economy?
You don't have clear analysis about that, but any investment entrepreneurship is very valuable in booming the economy, and I cannot say reduce the unemployment, but to mobilize the employment itself, because people who are gaining from such development are people who are already working.
Yeah.
And if those people are mobilized and motivated enough, they will be driving others who are or unemployed. So technically, this number, even it looks big, but it is not that big compared to the required investment on long term. So, but for the, let's say, beneficiaries out of that fund, they are big, and for them this money is high.
Yes.
Which is a good indication of that should be repeated on more frequent basis. So those 200 now could be in the future 200 per quarter or 200 per month. And we hope that all of the business is coming to support the small and medium enterprises, because this is where nations fit. Because most of the nations worldwide are not mobilized because they are having international corporation. Those international corporations are driven by small and middle investments. Let's remember that Microsoft itself and Nokia were supported and developed through more than 600 small company or micro-scale company. That means micro-scale, I speak about people who are having less than 10 people working in that company.
Yes.
So we can understand that value from this perspective.
Yeah. So the economic reform in Egypt, and also the state efforts for qualifying youth for the labor market together make investment in Egypt, an excellent choice. So is that correct, or we need more?
We need a lot more, actually. Because we are getting back to the 80% of the business is coming from people perspective. We are having some problems in overemployment. We are having problems of unemployment in certain cases.
Yes.
And of course, we cannot speak about inflation, because inflation is created due to some economic factors. But the main problem is aging in the organizations, actually, even in private sector. To mobilize that into youth having more action, we need two things. I believe in the nation that companies, business could be driven by youth, which is, and they are already having very good success calibers until now, versus those youth and those middle ages should be supported.
Yes.
By more developed competencies, more developed professional training, yes. By escorting, by coaching, also, not only normal curriculums and so on. We need a non-traditional business by coaching others. We have a similar case, just a very simple example, in some countries in Eastern Europe, where they, let's say, magnetized their own people, expats living abroad, to come to their own countries back again to coach, mentor, and educate others how to do business and law. And I think we are having very good success stories outside that could lead us here in this arena.
Yes. Dr. Kamal, how did the mega projects made in Egypt by President Fattah Sisi and the Egyptian state promoted for the investment in Egypt?
We can answer in two very simple points. Imagine if we didn't have those projects, because you need to calculate how many people would be staying in the streets without work. You are speaking about hundreds of thousands will be out of work.
Providing job opportunities.
Real job opportunities.
First, yes.
And it digested and swallowed a huge amount
and would this promote for the investment?
And of course, it lead up to the main issue that we are having problems in Egypt, which is, let's say, infrastructure, like roads and so on, which is the key issue of any development. You cannot have any development without having real transportation system in place. Maybe we are doing it in the right way now, but I think it will be more developed, especially when we move more for railway modernization and so on. So this mega project is the only, by the way, to be very clear, the only key milestone for any future development. And we are paying it for it now from our own economy, because this is the only way to sustain and to develop. And you can take it also not from investment, you can take it only from defense and security zone, where all the nation will be connected with easy transportation, so it will make things more balanced. And we hope that we can attract people to go outside of Cairo to ease the crowd inside Cairo too in the future, as we hope.
Yes. So, Dr. Kamal, the Egypt Can conferences, very successful conferences in Egypt that turned out to establish a foundation under that name, Egypt Can, to contact the expatriates with their homeland. How would this result or the significance of this on the Egyptian economy?
It will be, as you told, it will be a driver and a pillar for growth, because all of that even will not yield to a direct cash flow currently, but at least it will stabilize the economy in the future. As we said, when you plan for economy, you cannot plan on an instant basis, because this is not economy. We are targeting 10, 20 years now. So technically, the political leadership is focused about long-term, not instant solutions. Instant solutions will be there somehow, but we are targeting 5 years and beyond. Let's say 8 years and beyond, and this is the correct thing. So technically, such foundation and so on could be in the coming 2 to 3 years having more out of it in different directions, and of course, it gives Egypt what we need is a flavor of the economy. So the economy could be very strong, but it doesn't have a flavor. We have an example, just like Singapore, is having a very strong economy, but even it's attractive to lots of people, but it's also not attractive to other people. So we need to use our culture orientation, and the culture is to attract different, or let's say all aspects of economy, all aspects of let's say investment through our, let's say, a good tasty flavor that we can provide. Such Egypt Can and the others will be such a key mobilizer in such approach, as I think.
Well, I thank you very much for your valuable information. Unfortunately, our time is up. I thank you very much, Dr. Yasser Kamal, Information and Communication Technology Expert. Thank you very much for your time, sir.
Thank you.
Well, with this, my dear viewers, we come to the end of this episode of our program, Cairo Local Time. I'm Amal Mukhtar. Thank you for watching.